मेरे को वीजा लगेगा नहीं लगेगा, यूएस जा सकता हूँ नहीं जा सकता हूँ, हाउ विल आई फेस अ वीजा इंटरव्यू।
एक बहुत बड़ी एंजाइटी होती है स्टूडेंट के लिए।
वीजा प्रोसेस इज वेरी सिंपल।
इतने डिलेज हो रहे हैं, इतने रिजेक्शंस हो रहे हैं।
पीपल गेटिंग रिजेक्शन is because their communication skills are bad.
What is the process and what is the mindset that a student should prepare for?
You need to be thoroughly prepared when you want to go for a visa interview. The visa officers look at your documentation, DS 160 and I-20.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of MetaApply's ABC Podcast, Abroad and Beyond Campus. I'm your host Saurabh, and today we are heading into one of the most popular study abroad destinations, the United States of America. In this episode, we are going to unpack the real story of studying in the USA, the challenges, the opportunities, what makes studying in the USA so attractive, and is it still worth it? To guide us through all of this, we have Mr. Syed Afzal Pasha. With over 30 years of experience, including 15 in overseas education, he has mentored more than 15,000 students across the globe. Mr. Syed brings a wealth of insight and advice that every student and a parent must hear before taking the plunge. Welcome to the show, Mr. Syed.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Sir, with your more than 30 years of experience, why do you think that USA being the dream destination for students, it still is one of the most talked about thing? And despite all the uncertainties and the conversations happening around the world about USA, why do you think that a student should choose USA?
Well, Saurabh, it's a great question that you've asked. That's always a topic of debate. And the students, because US happens to be one of the most popular educational hub for the international students.
Right.
The reason being because it has top-ranked universities which are highly ranked throughout the world. You have Ivy League universities such as Yale, Brown, Harvard, Stanford, etc. And students want to pursue their education in order to gain practical and industry-based experience. Because the education system that we have in India is more theoretical based when compared to the education system in the US, which is more practical oriented.
More research and development.
More research. So it has cutting edge technology. The students are able to get great opportunities after completion of the masters. They have the flexibility of education. So it's not like you stick with the course that you go ahead and select. It is a student has the flexibility of changing the course if they are not, able to perform in the very first semester. They can, choose another course in the second semester.
Right.
So once before completion of the first semester, if they want to switch the course, they can go ahead and switch the course. So US has a flexible education system, and the degrees of the US universities are globally recognized. And if you talk about the faculties, they are international faculties with vast experience to their credit.
And the salaries as well, I've heard,
Yes, the salaries are amazing. You have a very good pay package. When completing a master's from a US degree, from a US university will give you an ROI of approximately $60,000 to $65,000 if you are a fresher.
Is it?
Yes. When compared to the Indian system, it's a theoretical based education system. And even after completing your bachelor's and finishing your master's, the job opportunities are abundance. But then according to the professions, if you want to get into electronic and communication engineering, it becomes a challenge. For computer science, yes, there are plenty of opportunities. But when compared to the specific, programs, it becomes difficult. Whereas in the US, it goes hand in glove because the courses that are offered by the universities are according to the demand of the industries. So this is why it pays you more. Your pocket, whatever it pinches you at the beginning, but it also pays you back.
But it was something more in the yesteryears than now, since we have those uncertainties around the world about how the US market is, how going to the US is. So is it still the same for a student or for a parent to send their students to the USA?
Absolutely, because US happens to be the most popular educational destination. So definitely there is a lot of the myths are there, the challenges are there. In any country that you go, the challenges exist. But that is a small phase. So that does not mean to say that it stops the students from going to the US. There are plenty of opportunities in the US. So the degrees that are offered, you are getting the option to stay back in the US and work in the US, which you will not get in other countries. So this makes it a popular destination.
So, as we all know, this position was taken by China to send all the international students to the USA, but we have overtook it. So that's a huge shift, right?
Absolutely, because if you look at the numbers, if you look at the stats, it's approximately 3,31,602 students have traveled to the US in the year 23-24.
It's a huge number.
It's a very huge number.
And what could that be? The reason behind it, that why that we have overtook China? Is it like more of a competitive thing with China, or is it just like a student's intuitive approach towards going to the USA?
Well, again, it's because of the political reasons. There have been challenges between US and China. So those could be one of the reasons that
Right.
the student going to US universities has dropped, and we have taken the advantage of it.
It's more of an achievement for us.
More of an achievement. So we have grabbed their seats.
Right. So there is like a lot of things for a student to consider before applying for any university, whether there's an mandatory English exam, the proficiency exams, and SOPs and LORs and everything. So can we put a bracket to it? Like, is there a certain number of things that we need to require, that a student requires?
Absolutely.
If I have to list it down.
Well, definitely. The application process happens to be very tedious. However, there are stages of the application process, because the admission process is a whole package that is offered to the students. So you need to first identify the universities. Once the universities are identified, based on the requirement of the universities, you start your application. So you need to accumulate your academic documents. Once your academic documents are in place, then you start with your standardized test. So you need to take the required tests which are desired by the university for the desired program, such as IELTS, TOEFL. Those are standardized tests for English proficiency. And the next is your GRE and your GMAT, which are analytical tests that are required for the master's program, whereas the SAT is required. SAT is required for your undergraduate programs. So these are the standard requirements by the universities. Once you take the standardized test, you have your reports, then you start preparing for your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations. These are the documents that your CV, these are the documents that you need to have properly drafted by professionals. So it just cannot be randomly used to a chat GPT cut copy paste that, where it is considered as plagiarism and your application gets rejected. So you need to be very, very careful when you're applying for the universities to make sure that you have all the documents in place. And once you have identified the universities, you know what is the budget required, what are the finances required in order to arrange your finances. So whether you are able to afford those amount of funds that are required by the specific university for the specific program, then yes, you have nowadays. Earlier, you had challenges in order to accumulate your funds. You know what is the tuition cost of the universities? It is pretty expensive. So getting into a US university, one assumes that, will I be able to afford that much? I don't think so. I would be in a position to, take up my education in the US.
Right.
So there are a lot of misconceptions over here. That was the affordability factor was once upon a time a question, a challenge, because not everyone can afford to go to the US universities to pursue their bachelor's or the master's. because the bachelor's cost approximately a crore and your master's cost approximately around 50 to 60,000 US dollars. So the affordability factor comes into play over here. So once you know that, yes, you are able to accumulate these funds, and you have to show your funds, how you need to show your funds. So they have different forms that you need to show your funds in the form of savings, in the form of fixed deposits as liquid funds. And it has to be there in your account for a certain period of time. But in order to, get your process kick-started, you don't have to have the funds parked for a long time. You can have the funds parked for a short while in order to get your offer letter from the university. So once you have your set of documents, financial documents, in terms of your bank certificate, in terms of your educational loans, once you have these documents, financial documents, with all these academics, your standardized test scores, your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations, and your financial documents, you would be in a position to apply to the universities.
Right. So as you mentioned the financial aspects of it as well. The name USA, it just comes along with a hefty price tag, right? We've all believed that USA जाना है तो पैसे तो चाहिए होंगे.
बिल्कुल.
So what do you suggest, or what do you think that a parent or a student should prepare for beforehand going to the USA, or even thinking about going to the USA? What are all the aspects that one has to point down? जैसे आपने कहा कि अभी ये सारे प्रोसीजर होते हैं, ये सारी एप्लीकेशन के लिए चाहिए, and now when we have to filter it down to the financial aspect as well. So what do you think are the...
See, the financial aspects, okay, again depends upon the student's affordability, what the parents are doing, and the parents pocket should permit also, and what they're doing, because this has to be proved when you go for the visa interview. So if you happen to accumulate the funds through some wrong means, generally the consultancies do that, or the financial institutions, the students tend to get a private financer to fund their account for a day or so, fund it, take the bank letter, get your offer letter from the university. But then there is a cross verification. If cross verification happens and they find out that there are no funds in your account, but you have a bank statement to prove that, does not go on to justify it.
Might get blacklisted as well.
So you will get rejected.
Right.
You will be refused. So the parents and the students have got to be very, very careful in showing the finances. So they got to show legitimate funds that are available in terms of savings account, in terms of the fixed deposits, how long the fixed deposits are there, how long the account is having the funds in place. So even after when you apply, when you're going in for your visa, okay, at that point of time the visa officer will check those documents. You have your bank statements to show cause, your IT returns to show cause. There you will get stuck. So it's always advised that go the legitimate way, show these finances in a proper manner. If you have funds, if not, go in for an educational loan. Earlier there was a challenge that the educational loan, the financial institutions used to take collateral security in order to provide you with loans.
Right.
But now that's not the choice. That's not the case. The students have that option of financial loans provided by the educational institutions. All the financial institutions provide those educational loans at of course the interest rate differs from a nationalized bank to a private bank, the NBFCs. But then, yes, you get the full loan provided for whatever the tuition and your living cost is. The loans are provided to you. So you have a lot of financial institutions, including I think so MetaApply has their own educational loan department where they help the students in order to fund the account. So these kind of institutions which help the students in every aspect of their admission process, I think so makes it very convenient for the students to take up the process through a professionalized service provider who is genuine, who is able to, who has the expertise and the knowledge. The staff has the knowledge in order to guide the students, because your money, your career is at stake. You're a student, so your parents are involved in it. The parents are involved, the student is involved. So it is, everyone's efforts are there, everyone's investment is at stake. So they have to take the right guidance from right kind of professional consultancies, and take up the process, so it becomes much easier for them, because they are handheld. The students are handled by those professionals in every stage of the process, right from their profile building, their application stage, to their editing stage, where their statement of purpose, letter of recommendations, their CV, their essays are well drafted, so that the university, they have a good opportunity to get into those universities.
So, if I may have to ask, what is the ballpark that a student or a parent must, have in their mind कि यार इतना पैसा तो लग जाएगा या इतना खर्चा तो आ जाएगा अगर मुझे यूएसए जाना है पढ़ाई के लिए?
बिल्कुल, ये थॉट प्रोसेस हर पेरेंट्स के, हर स्टूडेंट्स के दिमाग में चलता है. तो 20,000 से 50,000 या $60,000 तक जो है एक बैंड रखना चाहिए. $20,000 की भी यूनिवर्सिटी आपको मिल जाएगी. यू हैव यूनिवर्सिटीज with a higher degree of tuition fees. So it depends on which university that you want to go into. So I don't say that getting into a tier 3 university will hamper your chances of getting a job. Okay, that's the misconception. Now if you happen to take for an example ISB, okay, they do the postgraduate diploma program, which cost approximately around 35 lakhs. Okay, and you have to give the same standardized test. You have to do your GRE or your GMAT in order to get into the postgraduate diploma program. And what is the ROI that you're earning? You're earning approximately around 25 to 35 lakhs.
Right.
Okay, but whereas when you are pursuing a master's degree from a globally recognized university, okay, in the US, be it a tier 1 or a tier 3, it is a globally recognized degree that you get. It's a fully master or master's in MBA that you get, and it has $20,000 to $60,000. You have the affordability factor over there, depending upon the university of your choice that you choose. So you can afford 20,000 also, you have a university. $40,000 also, you have a university. You have a university even for $70,000.
That's the tuition part only.
That is the tuition part and your living part. It is accumulative.
Okay.
You have a 1-year program, you have a 2-year program. Again, it depends upon program to program. And your living expenses approximately comes around $12,000 to $20,000. Okay. Again, it depends upon how you live your lifestyle over there
and where you're living.
Where you are living in.
Right.
If you are extravagant in spending, then that is your take.
Right.
As long as your pocket permits, you can enjoy your life. But if you are a person who thinks about investment, you got to be very calculative. You can stay in shared accommodations. You can save your money. And when you stay together with your fellow colleagues, you happen to share your food expenses as well. So your living expenses drastically cuts down over there. Right? So your tuition cost also, depending upon the program, if it is a 1-year or 2-year program, your cost comes down.
Sir, I believe there's a question in millions of the households in India. क्या एक फाइनेंशियली हम्बल बैकग्राउंड से स्टूडेंट यूएसए जा सकता है?
सर, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है. एंड well, during my tenure of my services in the overseas segment, I have seen people going, from a very low background. They have gone to pursue the masters, and it's been an amazing, stuff when people had come to me and said that, my father is working as an auto rickshaw driver, and how can I accumulate the funds? How will I go? How will I, survive in the US? So my answer to them was, the challenge is there initially,
right,
to accumulate funds, but that does not mean to say that it stops a deserving student to from a low background to get into the US universities. So yes, based on the academics, based on their standardized test scores, the financial institutions provide loans. A fully funded loan is provided, and the loan is provided. You can take that loan. Now you will feel that, how will I pay back the loan? That's a question mark again.
Right.
And what is going to be the interest rate? How I'm going to pay back the loan? Again, the financial institutions have made it very simple. They've made it like, you take the collateral, you take the loan, whatever amount that you're going to take, you're going to repay it back after 6 months of you completing your course of studies. After completing your course of studies, you have a 6-month of buffer period. Once you get your job, then your EMI starts kicking in.
Okay.
So that becomes pretty affordable for them.
And what if someone fails to?
How can they fail? There is no chance. Okay, unless and until you are not capable. Okay?
Right.
So when a person goes to the US, when he aspires to get into any of the US universities and the university is giving him an offer letter, that means to say the student has got some capabilities in him. Right? Because after assessing the entire profile of the student, then only the universities go ahead and release the offer letter, right? So they know that the student is capable of completing his master's, and then yes, your communication skills, if they are good, if you're able to build your network over there after going, you can repay back those loans. And there are other facilities that are provided by the institutions. Okay, they provide you with scholarships. Now you have merit-based scholarship and a need-based scholarship. Okay. Now merit-based scholarship depends upon the university giving you a scholarship based on your academic and your entire holistic profile.
Right.
So your academics may be very good, your other extracurricular activities that you have done during your course of studies, that kicks in. Then your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations that you have provided, if that justifies what you intend to do and what you want to do. So all these factors are taken into consideration. A merit-based scholarship is provided to you. It can range up to a full waiver of the tuition fees, or they can give you a part of the tuition fees as a scholarship. So your cost of your tuition comes down. And the other best part, even in need-based, even in case the student is really from a poor background, he has no financial support, his family members, there's only one earning member of the family, and they are not able to provide, then he or she can apply for a need-based scholarship. So need-based scholarship, you have to provide the adequate proofs to the university stating that you have financial constraints, you are not able to afford, and the university, you attach those documents, whatever the university asks to provide in order to provide you with a need-based scholarship. If you meet those conditions, you will get a need-based scholarship. So you can go ahead and, realize your dream.
Right.
And the other thing is that the universities also provide you with, there's something attached to the course that you're going. Now, if you're going in for a technological program, there's something called as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math programs. Okay, so if you're going in for an engineering program, you tend to finish your course of studies for 2 years, and the government has given you a permission to stay back in the US for 3 years and work. That is 1 year of OPT. It is called as OPT, optional practical training. And you also have something called as CPT, curriculum practical training. So curriculum practical training is involved with your curriculum. It is inculcated in your curriculum. Okay. So once it is with your curriculum, you are allowed to work as an internship in any of the organizations. You have to get an employment, and you can take that curriculum practical training and work for a certain number of hours that are given to you. So you can cover your tuition cost in that. In an optional practical training, after completing your course of studies, you have 1 year of OPT and 2 years of extension. So altogether 36 months you can stay back in the US and work full time.
That's lovely.
Okay. And during your course of studies, you have 20 hours of work option, part-time jobs that you can do on campus, specifically in the US. On campus jobs are there where the university provides you, facilitates you with employment on campus, provided they are opportunities in the university, not because there'll be students from the fall 22 intake. If you're going in for a fall of 25 intake, there are students who will be waiting to get a campus placement of, in the fall 24 who have gone and who have not been able to get absorbed in the placements over there. Those leftover will be first preferred, and then your number comes in. If there are opportunities, you get over there. So their 20 hours of work option is there where you can make your money. Right? So around $1,500 you can easily, make in your part-time.
Right.
20 hours of work option per week. So these are all the ways and means where a student can reduce his cost of living, tuition cost, and cover up his tuition cost in these things. And I think so he can, rest of the things, once he gets his permanent job, in the OPT, if he gets an employment,
that's all
his
good.
life is solved. This concept has to be removed. ये निकलना चाहिए पेरेंट्स के दिमाग से. उनको दूर की सोचना है कि बच्चे को इंडिपेंडेंट बनाओ. जब वो बाहर जाएगा उसको अपने आप पे भरोसा होएगा, एक कॉन्फिडेंस पैदा होएगा, क्योंकि यहाँ पे वो ही इज रिलाइंग ऑन द पेरेंट्स फॉर डूइंग एवरीथिंग. कोई डिसीजन लेना है पेरेंट्स के बगैर नहीं ले सकता. तो वहां जाएगा तो एक इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिविजुअल बनेगा, and he will contribute to himself and he will contribute to the society.
Right.
ये खुद को भी संभालेगा और आप लोगों को भी संभालेगा. So that kind of a thought process that as parents we need to have.
It's not just the culture shock comes in a negative connotation. कई बार कल्चर शॉक आपको एक पॉजिटिव वो भी दिखाती हैं चीज़ें जो आपने शायद इंडिया में नहीं देखी हैं, और मे बी लेट्स से कमिंग फ्रॉम अ हम्बल बैकग्राउंड यू मस्ट नॉट हैव सीन. तो कई बार वो भी चीज़ें आती हैं लाइफ में कि you come across those things and you get humbled by it again. So parents के दिमाग में शायद ये भी लगता है, मुझे आता होगा कई बार.
बिल्कुल, क्योंकि वहां पे जाते हैं तो हर एक जो है डिफरेंट कल्चरल बैकग्राउंड से आता है, डिफरेंट एथनिसिटी से आता है, तो डिफरेंट कंट्री से आता है. तो एकजुट होके एक क्लास में बैठते हैं तो you tend to mingle with people, you understand the language, you communicate, you improve your communication skills. There's a lot of things that you tend to learn. जब एक साथ बैठते हैं, एक क्लास में बैठते हैं, यू शेयर योर नॉलेज विथ ईच अदर. तुम्हारे स्ट्रेंथ्स जो है वो शेयर होंगे, उसके स्ट्रेंथ्स जो हैं तुम लोगे, तो इट्स शेयरिंग ऑफ नॉलेज. सो दैट्स व्हाई in US the educational system is such that they put you into a group and you have to do your projects, you have to do your thesis. It is practical work that they give you. Theoretical बहुत कम पढ़ाते हैं, प्रैक्टिकल पे ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं. जो पढ़ाते हैं उसको प्रैक्टिकलिटी पे अप्लाई करने के लिए बोलते हैं. So they ask you to do those things practically. So then this bonding becomes easier. You tend to, ना चाहते हुए भी जो है आपको वो ग्रुप में ज्वाइन करना पड़ता है, बात करना पड़ता है. तो यहाँ पे जो कल्चरल शॉक आप बोलते हो, वो कल्चरल शॉक सब निकल जाएगा. तो यू स्टार्ट ईजिंग योर सेल्फ आउट.
राइट.
आप एक दूसरे से जब बात करते हो, आपका जो फियर फैक्टर है, जिस चीज से आपको डर है, वो सारी चीजें जो है that will wither out.
Sir, especially with the backlogs and the recent changes made around the visa process, एक बहुत बड़ी एंजाइटी होती है स्टूडेंट के लिए कि यार वीज़ा कैसे मिलेगा, और इतने डिलेज हो रहे हैं, इतने रिजेक्शंस हो रहे हैं. सो what is the process and what is the mindset that a student should prepare for before going for the visa application?
Right. Yes, this is a very challenging question that everyone has in their mind, especially when it comes to visa preparation. Visa, मेरे को वीज़ा लगेगा नहीं लगेगा, मैं जा सकता हूँ नहीं जा सकता हूँ, will I be able to, how will I face a visa interview, क्या होता है visa interview. So all these thoughts linger on the student's mind. So here I want to break that. Visa process is very simple, and people getting rejection is because either their communication skills are bad. If you're not prepared, you need to be thoroughly prepared when you want to go for a visa interview, because visa interview, especially US visa interview, just has 2 to 3 minutes. In that 2 to 3 minutes, you have to justify yourself.
It's very low. It's a very short span of time to.
Very short span of time. तो वीजा ऑफिसर आपके स्टोरीज नहीं सुनेंगे.
You can't flirt around.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. So you'll have to be specific to the questions that are being asked. And आप वीजा इंटरव्यू को जाओगे, you can't go like casually dressed, कुछ भी पहन के चले जाओ, ऐसा नहीं है. तो when you're going to the US, you have to be professional. Okay? एक मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम या बैचलर्स प्रोग्राम के लिए US यूनिवर्सिटीज जा रहे हो, तो आपको जो है वैसे ही आप उस रंग में ढलना पड़ेगा. So you'll have to be more professional, wear a professional attire, prepare yourself. आपके लैंग्वेज कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स खराब हैं तो उसको इम्प्रूव करो. You take the required coaching for it. I think so. Get into these kind of coaching institutes where they provide you with this coaching. Take that coaching in order to make your communication strong. Once your communication is strong, you have your confidence. तो वहां कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा. जब तुम्हारा कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स ही ठीक नहीं है, तुम्हारा कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल गिर जाएगा. तो यहां पे जो है communication plays a very important role. One. Second, how you appear before the visa officer, you need to be in a professional attire. Go professionally dressed, neatly groomed, neatly dressed. Take a clean shave, not a shave, you have a beard also, but properly trimmed and go decent. Okay, so it should look that yes, you're going into a professional institute, so you have to be professional over there. So one thing that they count, so the visa officers look at your documentations. तो जो documentations visa के लिए file होता है, it is your DS-160, and you need to have your I-20. It is called as a offer letter, that is from the US university. इसको बोलते हैं I-20, not the I-20 car. Okay, so I-20 is a unconditional offer letter that is given by the university once you get an admit from the university. So you will have to carry this along with you when you go for your visa interview. So, and you have to make your visa fee payment. Visa fee payment करना पड़ेगा. In order to book your appointments, you have to first book your visa slot. So in order to book your visa slot, there are conditions applied. तो एक तुम्हारा DS-160 fill करना पड़ेगा, which is the longest form, and it needs to have it has eye for detail. It needs to have an eye for detail. जब ये fill करते हो तो उसमें तुम्हारा एकेडमिक से लेके तुम्हारा वर्क एक्सपीरियंस तक सारी चीजें कैप्चर होते हैं. तुम कब से कब तक, फ्रॉम व्हेन टू व्हेन यू हैव परस्यूड योर एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन and your entire what have you done after that, all these things are captured. So this has to be very very accurate. आप वहां पे जो डालोगे, the same thing has to be communicated at the interview. When you're being interviewed and when you're questioned on those sections, you should give that same answer. If there is contradicting information, then your visa is rejected.
And what if उस time पे edit कर सकते हैं इसे?
नहीं कर सकते.
Once you log in,
once you log in and once you submit that, it is locked. You cannot make any changes.
Okay.
To the DS-160. So that DS-160 plays a very very important role.
And it's just a one-time thing.
It's a one-time. You can make changes. You can make another application. If your DS-160 you have made it wrong, okay, somewhere you have not incorporated the right kind of an information, you have not input the right kind of an information, you can edit that prior submission of the DS-160.
Right.
But after submission, you cannot make any changes. If it is minor change, then there is a possibility that you can, when you're going for your biometrics, वीजा अपॉइंटमेंट के पहले बायोमेट्रिक्स होता है एक, जहाँ पे तुम्हारे फिंगरप्रिंट्स का वो लेते हैं. तो वहां पे जाके आप काउंटर पे रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे दैट यू हैव मेड अ मिस्टेक इन योर DS-160 एंड दिस हैज टू बी अमेंडेड. एडिट करके उन लोग जो है आपको दूसरा DS-160 वहीं से जनरेट हो जाएगा. तो वो वीजा ऑफिसर के पास डायरेक्ट उसको चला जाएगा.
There has to be a minor change.
The minor change. But if it is a drastic, then that DS-160 has to be cancelled, and again you'll have to do a fresh DS-160 and then take up the process further.
Right.
But DS-160 submit होने के बाद अगर आप appointment, visa appointment book हो गया है, then you are paying $185 as visa fees.
Oh, अच्छा.
$185 is the visa fees. तो एक बार वो पेमेंट हो गया, आपका अपॉइंटमेंट भी कंफर्म हो गया, ओके, वीजा फी पेमेंट हो गया, तो आपको DS-160 नया ही बनाना पड़ेगा. फॉर दैट अगेन यू विल हैव टू फिल द न्यू DS-160, पे द वीजा फीस अगेन. सो दैट $185 का कॉस्ट आपको एक्स्ट्रा लग जाएगा फिर. तो इसलिए सोच समझ के टेक अ प्रोफेशनल हेल्प, एंड व्हाइल फिलिंग द DS-160 उसको thoroughly review karo, and then you submit. That is one. So DS-160 हो गया तुम्हारा, then you carry your I-20. So I-20 में जो है, your tuition cost is mentioned, your living expenses is mentioned, and if any scholarship is provided to you by the university, that is also mentioned. तो इतने का जो टोटल बनता है तुम्हारा ट्यूशन कॉस्ट प्लस your living expenses का जो फिगर बनता है, से $50,000 or $60,000, आपको 1.5 times the amount of I-20 you have to show when you go for your visa interview.
अच्छा.
जो financial documents आप लेके जाओगे, you need to carry 1.5 times the amount of the finance funds showed in your I-20. वो आपको दिखाना पड़ेगा.
And this comes from the university itself.
University
I-20 जो है वो
यूनिवर्सिटी से आता है. तो यूनिवर्सिटी में बोलो कि 40,000 आपका ट्यूशन फीस है, 40,000 is your tuition fees, $20,000 is your living expenses, total $60,000.
Right.
तो आपको 60,000 का 1.5 times आपको 90,000 आपके पास पैसे होने चाहिए. तो $90,000 को आप शो करोगे थ्रू एजुकेशनल लोन, थ्रू योर सेविंग्स, थ्रू योर फिक्स्ड डिपॉजिट्स, थ्रू योर PF, ग्रेजुएटी, ये सारे चीजें मिला के आप ये अमाउंट शो कर सकते हो.
I have a question.
हाँ जी.
Let's say कि यूनिवर्सिटी से I-20 बन के आता है, बट वो स्कॉलरशिप भी दे रहे हैं.
हाँ.
तो अब तो स्कॉलरशिप में वो कवर हो गया सब कुछ, ट्यूशन और जो, so do you still have to pay, show the 1.5 or?
Very good question. Now here यहाँ पे क्या होता है? Now if you show, you tell the university, you tell the visa officer that I have got a scholarship attached, and I have got only this much of funds, and the rest of it is covered by the scholarship. Visa officer's mind, what it will say is that this guy is dependent on the scholarship, and he'll be a liability in the US.
Right.
Okay, so for me, he becomes a potential immigrant. Okay, he becomes a potential immigrant for me. So I don't want that. So your visa gets refused. In order to safeguard yourself, be very, very, sure that your visa does not get rejected. थोड़े ज्यादा पैसे दिखा दो यार अकाउंट में. Not necessary 1.5 times. थोड़े उससे ज्यादा दिखा दो. चलो तुम्हारी फीस टोटल $60,000 है, $70,000 दिला दो. $10,000 और एक्स्ट्रा तुम्हारे पेरेंट्स के अकाउंट में दिखा दो. फर्क क्या पड़ता है? For the time being, till you get your visa. एक बार the person who's counseling you or hand holding you gives you those ideas, and how he takes you through that admission process, how he guides you for the visa process. तो जो admission process होता है I-20 लेने के लिए जो फंड्स दिखाना है वो अलग है, जो वीजा के लिए दिखाना है वो अलग है. तो they are two different things. So how you play between these two different things is very, very important. ये depend होता है who is guiding you. So when you go for want to go for the visa interview, you have to keep all your documents in place, all your academic documents, all your work experience certificates, your visa documents, so your DS-160, your I-20, your visa fee payment receipt is you have to carry whatever $185 that you pay, उसका receipt आता है वो आप carry करोगे. Then you have your SAVIS fees, which is $350. That is called a student exchange visa information system. अभी SAVIS किसी को पता नहीं, अरे SAVIS $350 मैं कहाँ से पे करूँ, कैसे पे करूँ? That is paid through credit card only. तो SAVIS fee $350 one time वैलिड फॉर 1 year. ये फीस जो है इट इज वैलिड फॉर 1 year.
So you have to renew it?
No renewing.
अच्छा.
It's valid for 1 year, the time of application.
For the time of
For the time of application. एक बार तुम प्रोसेस स्टार्ट करोगे, ये भर दोगे, फिर ये इनटेक के लिए वैलिड है. आप ये इनटेक में आपने भर दिया और ये इनटेक नहीं गए, say you're wanting to go for a fall of September 25, you pay the $350 and then you decide आपका मन नहीं है या कुछ अनअवॉइडेबल सर्कमस्टेंसेस हो गए हैं घर पे, यू कैन नॉट प्रोसीड, तो आप अपना एप्लीकेशन कैंसिल कर रहे हो, जा नहीं रहे हो, तो $300-350 आपने भर दिया. अब ये 1 साल तक की वैलिडिटी है. इस 1 साल के बीच में तुम अगर जाना चाहे तो देन यू डोंट हैव टू पे द $350.
अनलाइक
द वीजा फीस. ओके, वीजा फीस तो आपको फिर अपॉइंटमेंट लेना पड़ेगा, तो फिर भरना पड़ेगा, मगर सर्विस फी यू डोंट हैव टू पे. तो $350 आपके ऐसे ही रहेंगे. 1 साल के अंदर अगर फिर दोबारा आप सोचा कि मैं स्प्रिंग इनटेक में चले जाऊं, फॉल तो मिस हो गया, मैं स्प्रिंग इनटेक में चले जाऊं 6 महीने के बाद, तो आपका सर्विस फी वैसा ही रहेगा $350. आपको सिर्फ वीजा अपॉइंटमेंट फीस भरनी पड़ेगी $185. यू आर डन.
And as you said, it has to be paid from the credit card.
From the credit card.
No other means.
Check, credit card, or Western Union.
Okay.
They are the 3 means of paying the service fees.
Achha.
And this is the fees which is collected to gather your information. What is service? Service Student Exchange Visa Information System. When you go, the border security keeps a track of your movement.
Achha.
So the university informs the government as to you get a special कोड रहेगा, तो उनका रिकॉर्ड उनके पर रहेगा. तो that's why now of late you would have heard the news na, service is getting revoked.
Yes.
Okay, service is getting revoked because service का various factors होते हैं revoke होने के. Okay, so that is why it gets revoked. So service plays a very important role. तो स्टूडेंट का इन्फॉर्मेशन गवर्नमेंट के पास रहता है कि कहाँ मूवमेंट कर रहा है, कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रहा है. अब मैं एक्स यूनिवर्सिटी में जाता हूँ, मेरा एडमिशन एक्स यूनिवर्सिटी से टेक्सास यूनिवर्सिटी में हो गया, टेक्सास A&M यूनिवर्सिटी में मेरा एडमिशन हो गया, मेरे को वहाँ से ऑफर लेटर आ गया, मैं वो यूनिवर्सिटी का वीज़ा भी लग गया, मैं वो यूनिवर्सिटी को जाना है मुझे, मगर मैं वो यूनिवर्सिटी को नहीं जा रहा हूँ, मेरे को दूसरा ऑफर मैंने ले लिया कोलंबिया का. अब मैं टेक्सास यूनिवर्सिटी को नहीं जाऊंगा, मैं कोलंबिया चले जाऊंगा, तो मेरा सर्विस टेक्सास यूनिवर्सिटी पे है. तो अगर तुम वहां पे रिपोर्ट नहीं करोगे तो तुम्हारा सर्विस कैंसिल हो जाएगा 30 days के अंदर. Within 30 days after you report to the university, after going there, if you don't report to the university, it's called as in university DSO, designated school official, will be there. You have to go and report your presence over there. Once you're there, the DSO authenticates that this person is there in our university.
And now we can
the government records में update हो जाएगा वो, तो the government knows. But if you don't report to that university and you disappear and the university does not know where you are, your service status will be cancelled and you will be deported. Once you're caught, you'll be deported. You cannot stay in the US if your service is cancelled.
Like once and for all.
Once and for all. Either they can cancel your service and you will not be eligible to enter the US again, or for a certain period of years you can be, barred from entering the US.
It's harsh, but the truth.
It's the truth. Those are facts. Those are the rules. Those are the policies that you'll have to adhere to. So it is unlike, you can't play around like what you can play around here in India. You can't play around over there. So you have to follow the protocols. You'll have to follow the rules and regulations. And if you abide by that, then nothing like it. It's very simple.
So, sir, the planning is done. The student has gone to the university. And अब जो सवाल आता है सबसे बड़ा वो ये है कि what after the graduation? So could you shed some light on the H-1B visa that we all know, is one of the most talked about things in the past decade or so?
Yes.
So क्या आप कुछ उसके बारे में बता सकते हैं हमें?
Definitely. So H-1B visas are basically work visas where a student has the opportunity to stay back in the US after completing this course of studies. And after completing the course of studies, he has got a 3 years of stay back option according to the STEM degree. If he's gone for a STEM designated degree, that is science, technology, engineering, and math, is allowed to stay back in the US for 3 years under an OPT option, optional practical training. and 2 years of extension. So he gets to tend to stay for 3 years. Now, after this 3 years, how he is going to stay back in the US, or he has to come back. So, in order to continue staying in the US, he has to convert his visa from F1 to an H1B. So he has to apply for an H1B visa where the employer has to sponsor for an H1B visa. If the employer is ready to sponsor, say I'm working for Google, and Google is ready to sponsor my visa for an H1B, so I am put in the H1B visa application is submitted, and it is a lottery based system, it's a cap based system. So when you apply lottery based system, if you get it, if you don't get it, no. If the employer is applying, you're lucky enough. If the employer is not ready to sponsor you for your H1B, then you have to, apply yourself for an H1B and try to get that status in order to stay in the US. If not, after completion of your OPT, and if you're done and the employer is not providing you with a sponsorship of an H1B, you have to pack your bags and come back. Okay, so H1B is a work visa, so you can get that provided the sponsor is ready to sponsor, the employer is ready to sponsor you for an H1B, or you yourself apply twice in a year. You can twice to thrice in a year you can apply for an H1B visa, and you can get it. Because now what Trump had earlier in his tenure mentioned, in the first tenure, the person who graduates from a US university has a higher degree of getting an H1B when compared to anyone applying from any other country, with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or whatever qualification they hold. They're applying from here. They have got a lesser degree of getting a H1B when compared to students applying from the US, because they have passed out from the US, completed the master's there. So when they apply from there, they have got a higher degree of getting selected when compared from India.
Very well, sir. So this brings us to another round of our podcast that is called the myth busting round. यहाँ पे हम वो myth उठाते हैं जो students और उनके parents के दिमाग में चलते हैं कि what a student or what a parent has to face.
Absolutely.
So starting off with the myth number one, that is studying in the USA is only for the super rich.
Well, according to me, it's not. It's a reality, yes, but again, studying in the US is not expensive. It can, there are plenty of opportunities in terms of scholarships, teacher assistantship, research assistantships, and part-time work options that are available in the US.
Myth number two, the USA is only good for STEM courses.
Well, STEM is a popular degree for engineering candidates, but it does not stipulate one from not getting the OPT options. You have field like business, arts, and other related courses, design courses, liberal arts programs that the student can take up. So,
myth number three, getting a USA study visa is almost impossible these days.
Well, the process is quite competitive, but it is not impossible if you have the right intent, right documents, and all the required information and confidence. If the student has, he can crack it.
Myth number four, you need to get into an Ivy League or only the top 50 universities to be successful.
Not necessarily to Ivy League or any tier 3 universities. Also, if a student, they are very competitive universities and globally recognized, so I don't think so there should be a challenge if anyone passes out from any of the universities, either from the public or a private university.
Great. Myth number five, there are no jobs for international students after graduation.
Well, there are plenty of jobs available for international students. They are quite in the tech field, in the finance, in the healthcare. You have a lot of opportunities available. It is only how you network and how you are able to portray your skills for the required job.
So thank you so much, sir, for breaking down all the myths. And now, since we are moving on to the final part of this podcast, I want to ask, is there any final advice for all the students who are dreaming of going to the USA?
Great, my Saurabh. It was lovely talking to you, and you're most welcome for having me on this platform. And the piece of advice that I want to give to the students is just plan meticulously, well in advance, keep all your documents in place, make your financial arrangements, and then take guidance from the right set of people in order to realize your dream. And I'm sure that you would be able to dream of being in the US.
Very well said, sir. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow, what a power packed session. We realized that studying abroad is not just a dream, it's about making the right choices at the right time. And you don't have to do it all alone. Getting expert guidance can make your study abroad journey smoother and easier. So, if today's conversation lit that spark for you, do give us a like and share among your squad. And don't forget to subscribe to MetaApply's ABC Podcast for more conversations like this. This is your host, Saurabh, signing off.